to the Above the Yellow Line live stream on a Thursday night. This is a Thursday night, sorry, Wednesday night. I'm so used to saying Thursday, Dom.
I
I
know.
know.
This is
It's
new
just how
for
it
us.
works. This is new for
Familiar
us.
territory. We're off to a great start, though.
I know, such a good start. But on a Wednesday night, this is actually our last live stream on the YouTube channel this year. So pretty bummed about that, but excited because we have a really cool guest. We're very excited to bring in Alanis King in a few minutes, but awesome to have you all here in the chat. If you have any questions for Alanis, just again, put them in the chat. Don't be afraid to ask. But yeah, of course, joined by Dom Joseph. Dom, how you doing?
I'm good. Got a little bit of a headache, a little sore. Got my
Love that.
vaccines yesterday, so just taking full advantage of me now. So,
Yeah.
but no, I'm not good. I'm back home. I'm in Ohio, so
Yeah.
Enjoying it very much.
Well, we will have to talk about, I think some of the best interview questions that I've given this past month to other drivers and other people is like, what's on your Christmas list? There's things that range from like socks to like, oh, like Logitech steering wheel. Like it varies. We'll have to talk about our Christmas list, NASCAR list soon. And also too, I don't know if you ordered anything from the Circle B diecast sale that came in. We could probably talk about that.
Listen, I'm in rehab with diecast nails. I can't go back to the fire.
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm still paying off Coke 600 debt.
That's awful. That's awful.
Yeah, it's all right. We live and learn.
Yeah. I got way too much stuff. It's up on my YouTube, by the way. My whole NASCAR collection, IndyCar stuff is thrown in there as well.
You got
Watch
some awesome cars.
Thank you.
Like you got some really good deals on some really good cars.
Oh my God, I did. Yeah, I think credit to Dom for seeking out at least like multiple of those cars, but especially the Jimmy Johnson cars. Like,
you're talking about the Roval. I thought you were talking about the ones that you got in your Circle B deals.
Oh, Circle B. No, those were steals too. I mean, they were all signed pretty much.
Oh, yes. No, I had to help you out at the Roval
Yeah.
because those were cars that I had never seen in those tents before. So I knew they probably weren't going to be around long.
Yeah, we got them, guys. Boys, we got them. So excited about that. But yeah, I'm good to see you all in the chat. I believe this is Braxton. Hi, Braxton. Mercedes is GOAT F1 team.
That's debatable now.
It's debatable now.
Right now. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, like I said, if you have questions, leave them in the chat, but we will go ahead. We won't delay any further. We will bring in our special guest, Alanis King. Hello.
Oh,
thanks for joining us.
Hi, can you hear me?
We got you.
Finally.
I am hotspotting from one of my two phones so I can be on my computer in the car and I can stream because I pulled over on the side of the road.
The dedication is insane. I appreciate it.
No
never not working.
Yeah.
Literally never not working. No, I am on my way home and I had about a 3-hour drive and I'm about 30 minutes away from my house. So I pulled on over and got my hotspot going and here I am.
Oh my God. Well, we appreciate it so much. I think first question I have to ask is like, what car are you in? I know you're a car person. Have a lot of cars. Like what are you driving right now?
That's a hilarious question. So at my house, we have 2 Mazda Speed Miatas and 1 Hyundai Elantra. And the Hyundai Elantra is the only one with cruise control. So when I travel for work, which is 3 hours at a time, I use the Elantra because it is not fun to have your foot on the gas pedal for 3 hours. So here I am in a 2012 Hyundai Elantra with my luggage in the back seat. And that is what I travel with for work. It gets about 42 miles per gallon and it's an automatic. So you don't have to do much shifting. And it has cruise control, which is very, very important because you get in that Mazda speed and the shifting is fun, but the no cruise control is not.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare.
The entertainment only lasts so many minutes.
Yeah.
You can't shift if you're on the highway. You're just sitting in 6th gear. So, it doesn't matter on the highway. So yes, here I am, got my backpack next to me, got my 2 phones. I keep saying I'm like Kevin Gates now. 2 phones.
2 phones.
One for the something, one for the dough.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Love it. For those who don't know your background in motorsports, can you share a little bit? I think it all started in when you were like 12, it was Texas Motor Speedway. You got tickets. Is that how it all started?
Wow. That is impressive. That is research. Yeah, so I was about 12 or 13 years old. Let me do the math. I think I was 13. And it was 2009. So we were in the recession, right? The recession was going, okay? And we weren't going anywhere because it was the recession. You're not going an hour away. There's no money. And my mom got free tickets to a NASCAR race for the April Texas Motor Speedway race. And she said, if you want to do anything, we're going to go to NASCAR because it's free. And I was like, that sounds awful. Why would I want to do that? I don't know anything about NASCAR. That sounds like the worst way to spend a weekend. And she said, well, shut up, we're going. So we went, and I got there, and I remember pulling up to Texas Motor Speedway for the first time. And if you've only ever been to other sporting venues and you go to a 1.5 mile oval for the first time, it's like, you can't even describe how large this thing is, right? It's like a giant palace, but not in like the European sense, in like the gates of heaven kind of sense. Like, it's huge, right? And I was like, oh my, maybe there's something to this. And we walk in, and my mom said, that's Dale Jr. It was like a t-shirt. And I was like, who's Dale Jr.? And she said, that's Dale Sr.'s son. And I was like, who's Dale Sr.? Well, I don't know what's going on here. And she's like, oh gosh, yeah, this is really bad. And so we go up to our seats. We're on the start finish line, and we watched the nationwide race on Saturday, which was the old name for the Xfinity Series. It's the middle tier of NASCAR. If you're not familiar, the bottom tier is trucks, middle tier is Xfinity, top tier is Cup. I like to say that for listeners and viewers who are unfamiliar. So this is a second tier race on Saturday. And those cars go by, like 43 of them, and they rattle the grandstands, and you're sitting here and you can see, it feels like you can see the edge of the earth on the horizon. And it was just the most incredible, all-encompassing thing. And you take your little earbud out and you hear the sounds, and you're like, that's the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I didn't know anything about NASCAR, didn't know anything about anything. And I said, that's what I'm going to do with my life. And that's what I did.
Like, from right there, that's when you decided you wanted to like be in the industry some way, shape, or form. Like that moment.
Yep. Didn't know anything about it. Knew nothing about it. And I said, that's what I'm going to do with my life. So spent the rest of my life doing that.
And is that like when you started getting your knowledge of like cars in general, or did you kind of grow up? Really?
Yeah. So I didn't know anything about cars. I knew nothing about cars. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a lot of learning. So from that point forward, from that race onward, I never missed another NASCAR race. Never.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I watched every single one. I didn't know what the trucks were, the Xfinity were. I didn't, when it was called the Sprint Cup, and I thought it meant it was a short race. It wasn't the title sponsor. The title sponsor was Sprint. I was like, if this is the Sprint Cup, what's the longer one? Like, what's going on? So I watched every single NASCAR race from that point forward on television. And then I got a job at a place called Jalopnik when I was in college. So I was in my second year of college. I was 19 years old. And one of my professors knew the top editor at Jalopnik. And he said, this person knows everything about motorsports. Hire her for your freelance gig. So here I am in college, and I now have a full-time weekend freelance gig. So I'm working all day, every day on the weekends at Jalopnik. I only knew about motorsports at this point. So I spent those like 6 years learning about motorsports. I didn't know anything about production cars. And so here I am at 19 years old. Now we're starting on production cars. So from that point forward, I learned everything I could about production cars. Now I do cars, motorsports, car reviews, motorsport reporting, all kinds of stuff like that. It's all of it. And that is where all that happened.
As somebody who, I joined the motorsports scene late. Like I started watching when I was 16. And I sometimes feel like I'm at a disadvantage because I started so late when a lot of people in NASCAR have been watching since they were like walking and things like that, which is awesome. And I wish that was me, but it's not. I don't know if you felt intimidated kind of walking into the space, learning everything because you weren't a lifelong fan, or just kind of how you navigated that.
Absolutely. And everyone does. And I think everyone does because everyone assumes everyone else knows everything. And that's the problem. So I always use this equivalency. When I was at Jalopnik, one of my colleagues was named David Tracy. I love David Tracy. He's a great person. David Tracy is an incredible Jeep mechanic. He knows everything. He can take 2 panels of rust and turn it into a Jeep. It's ridiculous.
That's
but
awesome.
but if you ask David who won the NASCAR's Cup Series championship this year, he couldn't tell you. He had no idea. So here we are. He knows everything about one thing, but he doesn't know anything about another topic. I know everything about one thing. I don't know anything about another topic. Sure, you started when you were 16, so you weren't there during the 90s and the early 2000s and all of that. Like, you weren't watching that, so you don't have that firsthand knowledge, but you know lots of stuff about what's going on right now. And I think the problem we make and the reason we get imposter syndrome is because we think everyone else knows everything. And so I try to be extremely upfront with the things I don't know because I think it makes people feel better. I'll say, yeah, I can't put a Jeep together. Like, if I am going to do some kind of work on my car, I'm going to YouTube it. The only thing I can do without YouTubing it is change my oil. Anything else, I'm looking it up on YouTube, right? So I think the more honest we are about what we know and what we don't know, the better it is for everyone because then they don't have that imposter syndrome. So I try to be very honest about that. I also try to be very welcoming. A really recent thing in Formula One is people go, oh, I'm not a new fan. I'm not a Drive to Survive fan. No. That's gatekeeping. That's gatekeeping.
Exactly.
It's okay to be a Drive to Survive fan. It's okay to do all of that. We're all fans. It doesn't matter how much everybody knows. We need to make everyone feel welcome. And so I think the more upfront we are about the things we know and the things we don't know, the better it is for everyone because then people don't feel self-conscious. Like, another element is there are tons of people who report on NASCAR who have been in here for decades and know more historical knowledge than me. But can those people drive the cars as well as I can on the racetrack? No. Right? So if I go to Circuit of the Americas, can I rip it? Yes, I can. Do I know what happened in the 80s? No, I don't. You know, it's just one of those things where you're just upfront about what you can and can't do.
I love that. Dom, did you have?
Yeah. So question about when you went to your first race. I always think back to the first race I saw, not in person, but saw was the 04 500. And I have that vision of Dale's Budweiser car and Tony's Home Depot car. What was that first car you saw that caught your attention?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the Saturday race is harder to say because I would have to remember the sponsor.
Yeah.
Saturday race, I think, was NOS or Z-Line. Kyle Busch won that race, dominated that race.
Yeah.
I know, we're shocked. Kyle Busch dominated on Saturday.
Probably a NASCAR.
And so I think it was a NASCAR. And we were there with a good friend of mine named Steve McLean. He's a family friend. And Steve knew everything about NASCAR. He was a huge Dale Jr. fan. And he said, whatever you do, you can't like Kyle Busch. He's a punk. And then Kyle Busch wins the first race I'm at. And I was like, sorry, I'm going to be a Kyle Busch fan. So the next day, I very, very clearly remember Kyle Busch was in that green, I think it was Interstate Batteries car with the yellow, not the yellow, the orange accents on it. And Kyle had some real misfortune on Sunday. Like, he had some contact with somebody, cut a tire down, got a pit road penalty, and he ended up being a lap down, but trying to race for his lap back the whole race. And I had no idea what was going on. So I'm just watching this dude in the middle of the pack, basically. He's not on the lead lap. And I'm like, maybe he's not that good. I don't know. Did I make a bad decision? But I very clearly remember that visual of watching him go around and going, did I make the wrong decision? Because I had no idea what was going on. And so that's my visual, is just him going around and me having no idea whether I made the right decision or not. And I told him this recently and he was like, I don't remember that race at all. And I was like, that's a good thing. You wouldn't want to. Don't think about it. Don't go watch it, Kyle. Don't. It's not what you want to see.
That is awesome.
So that's mine.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, he had a rough day that day.
He had a really rough day that day. He was like, yeah, I don't remember that. And I was like, nope, you don't want to. Nope, leave it alone. Yeah. We're moving on.
And with good reason.
Yeah. Topic you don't want to know. So that's what I remember, yeah.
Moving on into what a lot of people want to ask about, and that's this.
Oh my goodness, look at that. Wow, that's so cool.
I read it, and it was amazing because I couldn't.
It's so good.
I couldn't get over.
Thank you.
I couldn't get over, like, in in my opinion, it was just like reading a 200-page
Oh
article
my God, thank
on
you.
everything that could, did, and didn't happen in that whole saga. But I know you're still selling the book. I don't know how much you want to talk
Yeah,
about
for
it,
sure.
or dive into the secrets of
Yeah.
it. But it's what was it like going through all that and just seeing how right when you think you knew what was going on, something different happened?
I often tell people it's a lot like writing fiction, except it's all real. Because you read this book and the things you read are so shocking and bizarre and completely unexpected. At every turn, you're like, what just happened? And so I remember editing this book with my co-author, Elizabeth Blackstock, and we would read things that we hadn't read for a couple of months because you're going through and editing it. And we would go, there's no way that's real. But we fact checked it 4 times. But it felt like it wasn't just like little things. It was entire arcs of that book. You're reading it and you're like, this, no way. No way. You're joking. And it's just a fascinating thing. So if you're unfamiliar with the book, it's called Racing with Rich Energy. And basically the bottom line is in late 2018, oh, there it is. In late 2018, the Haas Formula One team announced its new title partner, which was Rich Energy, black and gold energy drink from Britain. And as soon as Haas did this, everybody was like, what's Rich Energy? We don't know what that is. And people started looking into it because it was a little weird, right? We're sponsoring a Formula One team with $100 million a year in their budget. And who is this company that apparently has the money to pay this sponsorship bill? Well, everybody started looking it up and found out that the most recent listing in the British Registrar of Companies, which is Companies House, most recent listing had about $700 in the bank for this company. So
Yeah.
Haas F1 team spends $100 million a year. This company apparently has $700 in the bank. And so it became this whole thing of everybody trying to figure out what is going on with this company. And I think everybody from the very first day saw the writing on the wall with this company. And for some reason, I guess Haas didn't. So they went through with it and they had this partnership and it was a disaster. The CEO of the company was always making stuff up and yelling about stuff and posting pictures from the internet and pretending like they were his. He would post pictures of like a private jet at sunrise and he would say, off to some place at sunrise. And it was like a picture from Pinterest. And it's like, how is this man sponsoring a Formula One team? And of course, it didn't last very long. It lasted about 9 months, and then everything crashed and burned. There were like several court dates. There was a lot of lying, and that's what the book is about. And it is a wild, wild, wild ride.
Yeah, I think it puts it perfectly how they took a race team for a ride,
Mhm.
and it was just unbelievable. I think that there's one chapter in the book that it's a whole chapter about 20 pages long that encapsulates 1 week's worth of
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
content.
And then the last
And it's
sentence of that chapter says, in case you weren't keeping track, all of this chapter happened over the course of a week. Because you
Yeah.
think it's like a year's worth of stuff. And it happened
Yeah.
over the course of a week. It was the craziest week ever, and it's so fascinating. And I think one thing we really enjoyed doing with this book is we also went into other iffy motorsport sponsors over the years. So the third chapter talks about iffy motorsport sponsors over the decades. And one of my friends, Jason, love Jason, he's the best. He does not know cars or motorsports. He doesn't pay attention to these things. But I wrote the book and he was like, I'm going to read it. And he actually, this was when Drive to Survive was like on the uphill climb, right? And he was like, if I'm reading this book on the subway in New York, women are gonna like hit on me because they like Formula One. And I was like, yeah, do your thing, Jason. And so he told me I really felt like the third chapter, which was about other scammy motorsport sponsors. He said when I started it, I thought it was like an anime side quest, like one of those episodes in the anime that's a filler episode. I thought it was a filler episode. And he said, I got done with it and I realized, oh, I get why they put that in there, because it is an illustration that these big race teams that require a lot of money and funding end up getting taken for rides sometimes. And it's just like this whole bit of context about it. My favorite one is the Moneytron machine. The Moneytron machine was a supercomputer that
God.
could apparently predict the stock market. And the guy who had the Moneytron machine he was the only one with the key to the office it was in, and no one ever saw it. And you have to assume that the Moneytron machine did not exist, but he got a lot of rich people to invest in it, thinking they could predict the stock market. Everything crashed and burned. When he eventually lost his fortune, he said, and I quote, "The good thing is there is one less capitalist in the world. The bad thing is that he is me."
That was crazy.
Golden quote. Oh my gosh.
Nuts. This guy, look him up. Jean-Pierre Van Rossum, wild guy. Oh my goodness. So I loved it. That book is, it surprises me every time I read it, and I wrote it.
Yeah, right.
I wanted to ask with the book, so how did you keep your research organized? Because there's just so many pieces and parts. I don't know if you had like a bulletin board where you like put strings on certain things, or like how you kept all this information straight.
Yeah, that's a great question. So Elizabeth and I, what we did is we took chapters. So there are 9 chapters in the book, I think, and Elizabeth took half and I took half. And then a couple of the chapters, she would take the front half and I would take the back half, or I would take the front half and she would take the back half. And basically what we did is we started with a document that listed all of the events in chronological order, and then we grouped those events into chapters. And then we decided, I know more about this event than you, or you know more about this event than me. You take that chapter, or you take that half of that chapter. And what we did was we then broke those little listings into individual Google Docs, and we just started building out. So each chapter had a Google Doc that you built out from this timeline you created. And then what you have to do is, oh my goodness. So the book is about 100,000 words. And the chat's so fun. Hi, everybody. I see everybody in the chat. Hi, Phil. What you do basically when you do any kind of journalism or any kind of writing is, thank you for saying the story is wild. So what you do when you do journalistic stuff is that you fact check it while you're writing, right? So as you're writing, you have all of these tabs open that you're fact checking with, or books, or whatever you're fact checking with, you have these open. But what I have learned to do over the years, and what I always do, is I fact check everything a second time. So once everything is written, I let it sit for a minute, and then I go back through, and every single word, name, date, number, verb, everything, you go one by one and you fact check every single word. Make sure everything is spelled right, all the dates are right, all the numbers are right, you use the right verb, it didn't give the wrong connotation, everything like that. And so what we did, about 100,000 words, you go word by word and you fact check it individually. So I would fact check it once, Elizabeth would fact check it once. The writing started out in black font. If one of us fact checked it, that's a single fact check. So we colored it purple. You go word by word, changing the font to purple. And then the other person would know, oh, okay, Alanis fact checked that. So now it's my turn, right? Or Elizabeth fact checked, now that's my turn. And then the second person would go and highlight it maroon. If we had any issue with it, we would make a note. And if you changed any words for any reason, the whole sentence went back to black, or potentially the whole paragraph, depending on how much it impacted. So 100,000 words, word by word, double fact checked.
Oh my God. Well, first, thank you for explaining your process. I was so curious about it, 1 and 2. I mean, the amount of fact checking, of course, has to go into anything. Mm-hmm. That's wild to know, how you did all that. So
a lot of people tell me that they are actually surprised when the book ends, because the book ends and there's like a third of the book left, and a third of the book is citations.
Yeah, all the sources. Yeah,
a third of the book is citations. So it was really funny to me that people noticed that and told me about that.
I was gonna say, a lot of the book has the quote, "They did not respond," or "no comment."
Yes.
How did you guys manage to just like keep going, keep pushing forward, even though a lot of what you wanted you didn't get?
Well, often when people don't give comment, that means you got it. So there's not really anything I need. Like, it's just, if they need to correct the record, they'll correct it. And if they can't, then they can't. So, I had some conversations and I said, hey, look, it'll look better for you if you participate, right? Like it's not going to get any worse if you participate. In fact, it would get better if you participated, because right now things don't look great. But ultimately, it's the companies and the people's decisions whether or not they want to participate. And ultimately, I can write a good story with or without you. and I can write a correct story with or without you. And if you don't have any rebuttal to that, then I don't have any problem. So that's kind of how I went with it. And that's how you have to do these things. This is how you have to go into this. When you're reporting something, you have to do the right thing and you have to go on the right path. And you can't let these things discourage you, because ultimately you're doing a good thing and you're doing a cool thing and you're showing people the inner workings of things.
That's awesome.
And kind of getting into your journalistic career more, I love how you take more of a hands-on approach with your journalism. Like, you really get in there and like do the experiences. And something that stuck out to me is like you took your mom in on a lot of these experiences, like rally car school or like rally school, stuff like that. Kind of talk about what it was like to bring her along. I mean, kind of since she started your journey in motorsports and having her doing these experiences with you.
Yeah, you know, it's really, really fun. I love having her come with me because we've been doing this stuff for decades, right? And she loves cars. My mom has always had a Mazda Miata her whole life, and it's always been a manual Mazda Miata, and she loves driving cars. It makes her so happy. And so to get to share these things with her is really cool, because she texts me when I'm driving a car. Today I was driving a gated manual Lotus Elise, and she's like, "How's the Elise?" Like, she always wants to know. And so to be able to give her these experiences within my job is really, really cool, because they're experiences that she hasn't gotten to have just having a normal job her whole life. The only real experiences she gets with cars are the ones that she buys. So I can bring these like wild cars into her world, and she really, really likes that.
That's very cool.
It's so fun.
I will say, on top of the car stuff, this is one question I've always wanted to ask, and it's that I'm a Ferrari fan personally. So it's been a rough many years, but I've always loved Ferrari cars, and you got to ride in my dream Ferrari, the F12 Berlinetta, with Sebastian Vettel.
My dude.
Goals.
Track. What was that like? I can't even imagine.
You know, Sebastian Vettel is so sweet. He's so sweet. And I mean, the video is on my YouTube channel. It was crazy. I just posted it one day and I didn't even pay attention, and then I checked it like a few months later and it had millions of views. He was so sweet. And often when you get in the car with these racing drivers, they're either like really closed off or really not. Sebastian Vettel is one of those people who wants to talk to you and is like really, really nice and makes you feel very, very welcome. And then he will take off around the racetrack and just throw you around, right? And the thing about being on the racetrack is that if you're in the passenger seat, you get thrown around. If you're driving, you don't get thrown around. I like to drive because I don't get thrown around, and I like to throw someone else around. That's kind of my fun. But it is super fun to be in a car with these people and be able to appreciate what they do. And I would say, if I got to do that today, I would have even more of an appreciation for it, because at that point I had not driven on track. Now I drive on track a lot. So I got to ride with Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez last year with Honda in a Honda Civic Type R. It was an incredible experience, and we actually got to talk about driving the car and things like that. And so I love having that kind of knowledge to be able to talk with the drivers about what's going on, because it's fun. It's fun to get their little insight, right? And last year Checo kept putting it in the wrong gear. So he would, like, it was second or fourth, and he would put it in second or fourth, and he would go, oh, that's the wrong one. And he was just having so much fun. And so getting to do that is such an interesting look into these drivers, because you're alone in the car with them and you just get to hang out and do whatever. And Sebastian was wonderful. He's a wonderful man. He stands for a lot of wonderful things, and I appreciate him, and I hope he's enjoying retirement, and I hope he's chilling.
Absolutely.
Was that experience with him like your favorite that you've ever had in your career, or is there one that sticks out above the rest?
Ooh, favorite experience I've had in my career. I mean, I've had so many that it's really hard to pick a favorite. Like Sebastian Vettel was incredible. Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez. Like, getting to ride in a car with these people is the kind of thing that doesn't happen in life, you know? And so those were absolutely incredible experiences. I feel like one isn't above the others, right? Going to Vegas Formula One, like I was not gonna go. And then on Thursday, I called Alfa Romeo and I said, hey, I heard you had extra tickets to F1. Do you? And they said, yeah, you're good. And so 3 minutes later, I had Formula One tickets, an Alfa Romeo, and a hotel room in my email, right? Took 3 minutes, right? And so this kind of thing is just the kind of thing that blows your mind. And getting to go to the 24 Hours of Le Mans this year and see the Garage 56 car in person, and at 9 o'clock in the morning at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, at one of the most historic Le Mans that is ever going to happen, right? The Centennial Le Mans and the Garage 56 car. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. I haven't slept because that's my assignment. Don't sleep. And here I am interviewing Jimmy Johnson at Le Mans. I'm one of the only people here interviewing Jimmy Johnson. And it's just me and Jimmy at one of the most historic things in NASCAR. These kinds of things just stick with you, right? And there's not one that's number one. I just really like to give people context on people. Another thing I tell people about that's been really, really cool in my career is I was obviously a Kyle Busch fan when I was a kid. And now I get to work with Kyle on various projects. And so I worked with Kyle for the first time officially about a year ago, and he was incredible. I was doing this like series story where I asked drivers about a really important moment in their career, a very split-second moment that we can break down in excruciating detail. And Kyle picked his 2015 Daytona wreck where he broke both legs. And Kyle was out for about 11 weeks, I think, and he came back in the middle of the season, made the playoffs, and won the championship. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in sports. And so that's what we talked about. We talked about that. And after we get off the call, I told his PR person, Bill Janetz. Bill's wonderful. Bill, it was Bill at the time. It's no longer Bill. And I told Bill that it was only going to take 15 minutes because it only ever takes 15 minutes with drivers. About 25 minutes into the conversation with Kyle, I said, Kyle, I'm so sorry. I said this was going to take 15 minutes. And he said, don't worry. We're going to stay here until we get done. We're going to stay on the phone as long as we need. So 40 minutes pass and we are finally done. And we get off the phone. And I tell Bill, he was so good. He was fantastic. And Bill said, well, when you reached out about this story, he asked me to compile data and stories from that time so he could study and refresh his memory, so he could actually put himself back there and then tell you about it. And I was like, no one's ever done that. No one. Yeah. And so many NASCAR fans will look at Kyle Busch and look at the times he has had angry moments during or after a race. And no one knows about the time and effort he puts into work, media, people, and sponsors. And so I always tell people that was really, really special to me because he didn't know me. I could have been a terrible writer. He could have done all of this work and like all of this prep, and I just wrote the worst story ever. He put the faith in me to spend that extra time to prepare and make me feel very, very seen. So after he did that, I published the story and I went back through my call log and I sent him a text and I said, hey, Kyle, you don't have to respond to this. I never text people directly unless like I'm friends with them. I converse with your PR person, not directly with you. So don't text me back if you don't want to. You're busy. And I said, I just wanted to say thank you. That's incredible. No one's ever done anything like that. And it was really, really special that you did that. He sent me like 5 lines back. Like 5 lines. He didn't say like, you're welcome or whatever. He said, this is so cool. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for like putting time into me too. I really love the story. I hope you have a great Christmas. We'll talk again soon. And I was like, what? Like, what? And like, these are the experiences that I like to share with people, like Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen. I love telling people Max Verstappen is hilarious because he is. Checo is hilarious because he is. These are experiences that like people just, it's insane that I have this. Like if I told 13-year-old me that Kyle Busch sends me nice text messages, she would like cry. She would cry. And I actually had this the other day. I interviewed Kyle for a Top Gear story about how I got into NASCAR. I wrote about why I got into NASCAR. And obviously he's part of that story. And the assignment came really, really late. So I had like a week's notice on the assignment, and I messaged his new PR person. I love his new PR person. He's wonderful. I message his new PR person and I say, hey, this is really, 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 really last minute, but will Kyle do it? And he said, yeah, Kyle will do it. And he said, he's going to call you after qualifying at the Charlotte Roval. And if you don't know the context, the Charlotte Roval was an elimination weekend and Kyle was in a must-win position to stay in the playoffs. And this man agreed to call me after qualifying on an elimination weekend because I needed him. And he was great. I sent him photos of the magazine like 2 days ago, and he sent me the nicest text back. He was like, yeah, see you next year. That was great. Can't wait to work with you. And I was like, damn, like that's what? And I like to share these things because yes, they're crazy. And like, I mean, it might seem like bragging, but also it's just like, it blows my mind that these things happen, right? And it's possible. Like little 13-year-old me, I remember so clearly that when you were just a fan in the stands, the asphalt of the racetrack really blocked you off from the world you wanted to be in, right? You're on the outside, they're on the inside. And 13-year-old me would go, there's no way. And now I'm on the inside. And it's wild. It's so cool. It's the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, when you have a chance to step back and just kind of like register everything that you've done, who you've talked to, like that's incredible.
It really is. And like everybody's so like the people you see me being friends with online are like they're so like they're actually the best. Like I'm not faking it at all. We went to Victory Lane with Tyler Reddick at COTA earlier this year, and it was so exciting. Like we had the best time. Tyler's great. He's a wonderful friend. He always makes time for us at the racetrack. We just have these experiences, and it's just, you can do this, you know, I could do this. Little me ended up being grown me doing this, and little me would just be so happy.
I love that. Honoring your younger self is like so important, and like just seeing the dream through. I mean, Dom can attest to this as well. I mean, just from your climb to working with NASCAR now. So I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome.
It really is.
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing you in Kansas when Reddick won. I was working that race, but
every time Tyler wins and I'm not there. Also, like, love for Tyler in the chat. Thank y'all for giving love to Tyler in the chat. Every time Tyler wins and I'm not there, I'm like, that's my favorite dude. Oh my goodness. And it's just so fun to experience that fandom again, because for a while there was a time where I thought I had to be like really serious and neutral and I can't have a favorite. And now I'm just like, go Tyler! Go Kyle! I'm gonna go to Cheddar's and get free food on Monday if Kyle wins. Like, we take sports journalism so seriously. It's not serious. Sports journalism, like, some of it is serious. There are important things that happen in sports journalism, but just like interacting with athletes and just having fun, we take that so seriously. And like, we don't have to. Like, you can just have fun. You can just meet people. I make so many amazing friends in this sport. I remember one time I was talking to a friend outside of a track house hauler, and Chad Chastain, great dude, Ross's brother, who races in the truck series and the Xfinity series sometimes, he just comes up and starts talking to me and my husband. And we've become such good friends. Like, we went to the Nashville race and we went and hung out with Ross. I mean, not Ross. We went and hung out with Chad. Like, we just had the best time. And then the next day, Ross won and they got to all go celebrate. And it was so fun. It's just nice to see your friends do well, and it's nice to meet people and have fun. And like, before Tyler won at COTA, we went and did carnival rides. Like, we're 2 for 2 on doing a weird activity with Tyler Reddick, and then he wins the race afterward. And he was with the trophy, and we ran off because we had to go drive home, right? So we take a photo with the trophy and then we run off the little trophy stage. And one of my friends told me after we ran off the trophy stage, Tyler goes, I've won both times we've done something with them, right? And they were like, yeah. And he's like, oh, wow. And I was like, you noticed. It's fun. I love giving people looks into these people they don't usually get to see. I love showing people how like thoughtful someone like Kyle Busch is, or how like nerdy and fun someone like Tyler is. It's fun. The most important thing about life is learning about other people, and I love showing people that.
Yeah, I think the thing that I catch myself doing is being too serious. That's just who I am. But I'm like, it's learning how to have fun and like just learning like you don't have to be serious all the time. That's boring. That's lame.
Mhm.
You don't want to get to experience life if you don't have fun. So
Exactly.
I appreciate
No,
hearing that.
highly encourage it. Like, just go have fun. Like, you'll be yourself. Y'all have both made names for yourself within the sphere. Just further do that, you know, and enjoy yourself, because what you enjoy, other people will enjoy. And that's something I tell myself about. Like, I tell myself that all the time. You don't have to be so serious all the time. Just have fun, and people will enjoy that so much more.
I wanted to get, before we let you go, to some questions in the chat.
You're good. I got time. I'm just sitting in a car. I got time.
Love it. Like, I'm just chilling side of the road. No big deal.
I'm just chilling.
Let's see. Adam asks, "What's your favorite motorsport series to watch?"
NASCAR, 100%.
We love that answer here. We would accept Formula One, anything else, but we're a little biased.
All the way, NASCAR.
Ben asks, "What was the most surprising thing you learned while putting the Rich Energy book together?"
All of it, the whole thing. Oh my goodness. I can't even pick one thing out. I really, really can't even pick one thing out. It was absurd. I think, like I said earlier, one of my favorite stories that's like Rich Energy adjacent is the Moneytron machine. And when people ask me like weird stuff about motorsports, I will tell them about the Moneytron machine. So that stuff was super fun. I wish I could pick something, Ben. I really wish I could. But the whole book is just, it just blows your mind, and it's so weird at every single turn. You know what? I'll give you one example. One of my favorite things is when William Story, the CEO of Rich Energy, terminated the partnership with the Haas Formula One team. He sent an email to Gunther Steiner with like very poor punctuation and constant line breaks. And it was just like every time he had a new thought, it was a line break. And this man terminated outside of the contract the partnership with the Haas Formula One team with an email directly to Gunther Steiner, the team principal, with no subject line.
That's incredible.
Man just fired it off. No subject line at all. And it was wild. That's one of the things I just think about, and I'm like, can you imagine emailing Gunther Steiner with no subject line? And just saying like everything that's on your mind right now? That's one of the really funny ones. So I'll say that one. And also the really cool thing about that email was that I asked about it. I asked for a comment about the termination, and William Story just forwarded me the correspondence. And so I just had all the emails.
God.
And I was like, all right, well, that works. Thanks. So that's
I got what I needed. Moving on.
Got it.
That's incredible.
I think for me, the craziest part for me right out of the gate is when they're in the trial with Red Bull, and Red Bull's research puts up the actual number of cans sold for Rich Energy. Oh my God. Yeah.
It's in the thousands.
I could not believe it.
So that's a really
like, well, I mean, it's believable, but like it was crazy to see it was that low.
That's a really good point. So Ben said in the chat, that is wild. It is so wild. So another thing that happened was early in 2019, Rich Energy went to court over its logo with a British bike company called White Bikes. And White Bikes said they copied our logo. We're taking them to court. So they go to court, and the court date I think was in March. And so they have the court date or whatever. And the judge says, how many cans of Rich Energy have you sold? And William Story says 100 million. And the judge goes, be for real. And William Story goes, I think we sold about 3 million in 2018. And the judge goes, all right, whatever. And so that was on like a Thursday or something like that. I had an interview with him on Friday, like the day after the court case, right? And I said, how many cans have you sold? And he said, we have now sold in excess of 100 million. Because he thought that I would never get my hands on the recap of the court case.
Oh my
and I
God.
did. And so you look, one day he gets corrected. the next day he says the same thing again. So it kind of shows you. Also, thank you to everyone in the chat saying that this is fun. I'm glad y'all are having fun. Me too.
The fact that he says one thing one day, like in court,
Mhm.
and then dude's wild. What a source.
Dude is wild. Dude is wild. And you know what? Like, good for him. Good for him. He's running around doing his thing. Do your thing, dude.
I saw you posted on your, I think it was your Instagram, something he posted of him driving a car, and you just put, for those that didn't know, I wrote a whole book on him about all of his past doing.
Okay, that's actually, oh God, I wish this tweet was in the book. So a few days ago, the official Rich Energy account tweeted and posted everywhere that William Story tested a Formula One car, and I think this was a few years ago. There's a Renault, like a tuned down Formula One car they let normal people drive, and I think this was a few years ago. He got to get in the car like when he was actually sponsoring a team, and they just posted a picture of him with the car, and on the Rich Energy account, which we can assume who's posting it, it said something about how the engineers were shocked that William Story was actually faster than Daniel Ricciardo and Yuki Tsunoda. And it was just like, what? Like, be for real. Be for real. No one, like, come on. I do wish that was in the book because it's so funny. Like, you're not faster than Daniel Ricciardo in like a tuned down, like normal person friendly version of a Formula One car. Oh,
it's like a basketball player insisting on only taking half court
yeah,
shots.
exactly. Like, what are we doing here? What's going on? I don't know. So funny though. But I will tell you a real story that is not fake. We were at the Vegas Formula One race, and I got invited by Ogara, which is a racing simulator and racing company. They said, hey, come try out our really cool simulator at the Wynn. And they had like a McLaren Ogara display. And I was like, I'll do like one lap, but then I'm gonna let my husband drive because he loves sim racing. I let my husband get on this simulator. I think the gas tank was full on this simulator. Like, that car was filled up. And within 5 laps, because he only got like 5 to 7 laps, on like his 5th lap, he ran Yuki Tsunoda's Q1 time.
What?
And now Yuki Tsunoda, his Q1 time was like 2 seconds slower than 15th through 19th. So like Yuki had a much slower lap in Q1, but he was 2 seconds off the normal Q1 times, and he was 6 seconds off of Charles Leclerc's pole after 5 laps.
Well, now we know that your husband needs an F1 contract.
My husband is an incredible sim driver. He's actually never done a track day in a car. I bought him a track day for his motorcycle when he was in college. He's never done a track day in a car. And so I'm very interested to see if we can do a track day together at Circuit of the Americas sometime, because I have a lot of experience driving Circuit of the Americas, but he is very, very good at the sim. And I'm very interested to see how close we are on that track.
How much it translates.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm super interested to see.
That'd be interesting. So hopefully this year you're able to do that.
Hopefully. I haven't driven at Circuit of the Americas in about a year, so I definitely need to drive that track again soon. So maybe we can do that.
Let's see. Hab asked, you've talked about a few Formula One drivers. Do you have a favorite driver and team?
Okay, so going with my thing of not being too serious, I cannot help but be partial to Lewis Hamilton. I think Lewis Hamilton stands for a lot of wonderful things. He became the first and only Black Formula One driver when he came onto the circuit, and he transcended the sport so much that he is now able to talk about human rights for other people and talk about whatever he wants to talk about and stand for whatever he wants to stand for in ways that other Formula One drivers never have, and many of them never will. And I think that is the coolest thing in the world, and I really, really appreciate that. Another thing I've realized that, like, it started as a meme, but now it's not a meme anymore. I actually like cheer for Logan Sargent.
Hey.
I was at the Vegas F1 race, and it started as a meme because, like, I just wanted to see Logan Sargent get points, and we called it Loints. And
Loints.
What?
And then then he got Loints, And it was so exciting that he got Lawrence. And then I was in Vegas, and the Williams cars, his team, they were actually like fast in qualifying. They were terrible during the race. They sucked. But they were good during qualifying, and I was in the stands, and I was the only one up there. I was like, Logan! Yeah, Logan! Let's go, Logan! And I was like, oh my God, this is actually embarrassing. So that's my answer.
Wait, Logan needs more supporters. Just gotta say. So
Logan's our fan, not gonna lie.
That makes me think of, I went to Richmond in 2012 and Dale Jr. was on pole. And once obviously the race gets going, everyone sits down and kind of just settles in. But there was one guy, a couple seconds below us. Every time he came by, he would stand up and he would just have some kind of reaction to Dale. Whether he got passed, he would be like, "What are you doing?"
Honestly, same. I love Dale. I would do the same thing. When Dale runs the occasional Xfinity Series race, I am 10 inches from my TV like, Dale, let's go, Dale. And a Dale story I have is that earlier this year I was at Junior Motorsports, and Dale did not know I was in town, okay? And I've never met Dale in person, never in my life. But for some reason, a couple of years ago, Dale just started tweeting me. Out of nowhere. I didn't tweet him first. Like, this man just started tweeting me. Like, he just started becoming Twitter friends with me. I went to J.R. Houston and Ryan Hines' wedding, and I posted a selfie of us at the wedding. Dale was liking our selfies at the wedding. Dale is always talking to me on Twitter. And so I'm at Junior Motorsports, and I was with my friend Aiden McHugh. He is he's the best. He's an engineer at Junior Motorsports. And he let me bolt on a part of the car. And so I'm under the car and I'm like bolting stuff on, and he's like, yeah, awesome. And Dale comes out of the studio, the podcast studio, and I'm just like, yeah, I put together a car. I didn't. I bolted like one thing on, and Dale is walking by, and he is like speed walking out of here. Like, he's got somewhere to go. He's got his backpack over one shoulder. He's like kind of hunched over. He is going, right? And he walks past us, stops, turns around, and he goes, "You're my internet buddy." And I was like, I am.
Oh, right in the heart.
So cool. And like, I often have this thing where I think like, do people know what I look like, or do I just look like another blonde lady? I don't really know. And the fact that like my internet buddy Dale walked by, didn't know I was there, stopped, turned, and said, "Internet buddy." I guess that's my answer. I guess that's it. And it was so fun. It was so cool. And so that's my buddy. Oh, Phil says Dale remembered Phil from Twitter. Like, Dale is
he's such
Dale
a good guy.
is my king. I love Dale. Every time Dale runs, I'm like, Dale, please run an Xfinity Series race. Please. I also had a moment earlier this year. I keep telling all these stories. I'm not even answering questions. I'm just telling stories. Earlier this year, I was on the grid for the Indy 500, and I saw Kyle Larson, and I was like, cool, Kyle Larson. And then I walked down the grid, and I saw a man who looked like Paul Menard. And I was like, that man looks like Paul Menard. But he didn't have any branded anything on. And so I walked up to him, and I said, "You look a lot like Paul Menard." And he was like, "I am Paul Menard." And I was like, no way! Because my husband is the biggest Paul Menard fan in the world. We own 3 Paul Menard NASCAR bumpers, and they're hanging in our home.
Gosh.
They're hanging.
That's
Wow.
We like, if you need a Paul Menard museum, it's our house. And I'm like, Paul, my husband is the biggest Paul Menard fan in the world. This man has never seen anybody react like this. Like, this man is like, what is going on? And he was so nice, and he was so flattered, and he was just so happy. And I was talking to him, and Elizabeth Blackstock was with me, and she had my phone, and she took a couple of pictures of us talking. And I was like, Paul, if you ever run another NASCAR race, we're gonna be there and we're gonna cheer for you, and like we're gonna cheer so loud. And I was like, have a good life, love you, Paul. And I gave him a double high five. And I have this picture of me and Paul Menard like double high fiving, fingers clasped over each other's hands in front of the pagoda at IMS. And it's just like me and Paul in this just like loving, sweet, like little double high five thing. And it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite possessions.
That's
You have to have in like cursive underneath it. What does racing mean to
Yeah.
you?
Literally. We're out of focus and the pagoda at IMS is in focus. So it's just me and Paul Menard. And like honestly, I wonder if he has a burner Twitter account or if somebody was like sent it to him or something. I'm sure somebody did. And I think about that all the time. I'm sure Paul thinks about that a lot. He just thinks about this lady who just like screamed in his face at the Indy 500, and one of the best moments of my life right there. Paul Menard.
I'm sure he appreciated it. I'm sure he did.
Hell yeah,
I'm sure
Paul
he was
Menard.
like, "Oh my god, like this is so exciting." I would have thought so. If somebody like basically fainted when they met me, I would remember it for the rest of my life. Anyway, I'm not answering any questions. I'm just talking about things. So
You're good. Oh my gosh. I love the stories. Honestly, I could probably talk to you for like a week and just hear new stories.
this is my problem. This is my problem. I just talk to people forever. I love it. It makes me so happy. I love just talking to people about stuff.
But it's like so cool hearing all your experiences. Like you've done so much and it's all so cool.
It's like I kind of forget sometimes. I'm like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm gonna lie. That's pretty cool.
Have you driven any Ferraris?
Oh.
So I have not driven any Ferraris. Ferrari is very strict, so I typically
Had a feeling.
drive Lamborghinis instead because Lamborghini's just like, yo, do whatever. Take it to Chili's.
That STO was amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So I've driven the STO twice. I've driven the Lamborghini Urus. I have driven the Huracan Technica. Lamborghini is like, do whatever you want. We don't care. Like, have
That's so
fun.
cool.
And so if I'm gonna go, also McLaren is really chill. So if I'm gonna go like super, yeah. I'm gonna go like super ultra luxury brand. Typically, I'm gonna get one of those just because they're like, yeah, have fun. If I took a Ferrari to Chili's, I think Ferrari would be mad. I think they would be mad. So, but the other ones, they encourage it. Like Lamborghinis, like, are you taking the Lamborghini to Chili's? Like they'll email me and they'll ask me if I'm taking
That's
it to Chili's.
awesome. That's so
What's
cool.
your go-to Chili's order? This is important.
Skillet queso and skillet cookie, and then the entree is interchangeable.
Oh, love that.
And then our servers at Chili's, Sean and Christian, love you, Sean and Christian. They give us pink lemonade, free pink lemonade. They're not supposed to, but they just do.
I love that.
Mhm.
Okay, honestly, is there a difference between pink lemonade and regular lemonade? Like, is there?
Yes. Like pink lemonade is like strawberry lemonade.
Oh.
I like it a lot better. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. First time in
It's really
23
good.
years.
These are the hard hitting.
Yeah,
They really
it's
are.
really good. Listen, pink lemonade. I can down some pink lemonade.
I did want to bring this one thing up. My buddy Ben, first off, YouTube Car Game, rise up. He wanted me to make sure to mention to you because you did like a lot of like toy car like diecast photography. So back in 2021, was it? You took this photo.
Oh yeah, look at that. I remember this one. This one. That one was so fun. And Ben sent me a diecast and said, "Can you take a photo of it?" And I said, "Yeah." So literally shipped it to me. I shipped it back, and this is right next to my house on the sidewalk after it had rained, and I have little emergency lights. And so these background lights that you see going by are my little emergency lights. And so those lines are me running back and forth with the lights. It's called light painting. And you just leave the camera on the ground, do like a 30-second exposure, and you light the car so that the car gets really good lighting on it. And then you go in the background and you just play with the lights.
Oh, that's gorgeous. I want to try that now. That sounds fun.
It's super fun. It's super fun. I do that all the time. So on my Instagram, you'll see some, if you scroll a little deep, because I haven't done it in a while because I've just had so much work to do. if you scroll a little deep, you'll see die-cast photos that have a lot of light painting behind them, which I often do in my garage.
Oh, it's so cool.
That's so cool.
It's super fun. I love doing this kind of stuff.
See, I feel like this could be a good new hobby for me.
It's a great hobby. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend this hobby. I have a Jimmy Johnson Carvana IndyCar diecast that I'm gonna do some wild stuff with when I get a second.
I love that.
I'm super excited. It's super excited. The older I get, the more Jimmy Johnson diecasts I buy. Truly. Love Jimmy Johnson.
Just got 2 Jimmy Johnson diecasts from the Roval when I was there. I have one of his rookie Lowe's cards and then the Power of Pride, like my 2 favorite schemes ever. So I'm now starting to trend that way to getting all the Jimmy Johnson diecast. I'm
telling you, the older you get, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
As you age, you'll just get more and more Jimmy Johnson diecasts. Because the older you get, the more you realize Jimmy Johnson is the dude.
Yeah. For real.
The nicest guy.
He really is.
The nicest guy.
He rocks. He really rocks.
Well, Alanis, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time in your car on the side of the road, to join us here. It's been such a blast. Thank you so much.
There I am on the side of the road, racing with Rich Energy. Yeah, I wanted to use my like fancy microphone and stuff, but you know what? Here we are on the side of the road.
This is probably the coolest setting.
It's authentic. Yeah, it makes it authentic.
Authentic. You know what? I might go get like a pink lemonade inside 7-Eleven here in a second.
Go for it.
It's possible. It's possible. I may go in and do that because that sounds really good right now.
Honestly, it does. I'm not gonna lie.
There's a Chili's an exit north of of Huntersville. You gotta come say hi when you're in Charlotte next time.
Oh, I'm gonna try to come into town soon. I'm trying to pitch some ideas where I maybe do some car reviews with NASCAR drivers. So,
oh my,
yeah,
that would be hilarious.
Yeah, I think it would be really,
so much fun.
I think it would be really funny. So hopefully we'll get to do that because like there are some NASCAR drivers who are really, really into cars, and if we can do some car reviews together, that would be so much fun. So hopefully we'll get to do that.
Pitch it to Joey Logano. That'd be a good one.
Oh, Joey Logano is a good one. Joey's a good one. I'm trying to see like, okay, who should I invite? Who's gonna want to do this? And so I'm just kind of like putting a few feelers out to see if people want to. Like, I can get you a cool car. You want to drive a cool car? You want to spend a couple hours with me that you wouldn't otherwise spend with me? Come on, it'll be fine. So we'll see. Maybe I'll come to town and do that, and we can go to Chili's.
Heck yeah, I'm down for a Chili's trip. Let's do it.
Chili's. And also, like, I'm in town a lot, and if I post that I'm in town, just send me a DM. Like, I'm around. I got time. I love hanging out.
The last thing I want to do is bother you.
No, please do. If anything, I forget to message people. I forget to message people about like karaoke night and stuff. So hit me up because I have this list when I come to Charlotte that's like 40 people long. And sometimes I just forget like to get everybody. And I wish I could just send everybody a group text, but then I would be giving everybody everybody's phone numbers. I think about that a lot. Logistically, it's really hard. I wish I could blind carbon copy people on text messages. When I can schedule text messages and blind carbon copy text messages, we're going to be in business.
That'll be the day.
That'll be the day. It'll be.
The technology's out there.
It's
just waiting for the right person to promote it.
I'm there, and we need to be there. But no, this is super fun. Got a train going by out there. You can probably see it.
Oh yeah,
Texas.
Super fun. Love joining you. I got about 30 more minutes to drive home. I'm gonna go see my cat Portia, and yeah, I'd love to come whenever.
Yeah.
The biggest contributor to your book was Portia, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. She did the whole thing. Yeah, she did the whole thing.
The shout out you gave her in the beginning, like the author's notes. Oh my god, I cracked up with that.
Listen, she's my child, and I know people will be like, pets aren't children. Yes, she is. Yes,
they are.
Oh, I can relate.
Literally. Like, yes. We know this. Like, pets are children. Yes. She is my blood and I love her. She is everything about me. Oh, well, I can't wait to see her in 30 minutes. I'm just going to pick her up and I'm going to squeeze her, and then she's going to run off and she's going to get mad at me for squeezing her. but that's how it's gonna go.
Well, safe travels back home. I guess
Thanks
tell
so
Portia we all
much.
say hi.
Thanks. I absolutely will.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess before I should go, I should actually tell everybody who I am. So I'm Alanis King. My full-time job is with a place called Cars and Bids. We auction cars off online. And so what I do is I go review those cars. Yesterday, I drove a Roof RT12, which is a really, racing with rich energy. There we go. Yesterday, I drove a Roof RT12, which is a really crazy Porsche. So if you want to go watch that video, it'll be up online in a couple of weeks on Cars and Bids. Drove a Lotus Elise with a gated manual today. That'll be on Cars and Bids. Super fun. I also have, I love the racing with rich energy. I also have my own YouTube channel. It's Alanis King, at Alanis King, without the in the middle. Every other handle has the in. If you want to find me on Twitter or Instagram or anything else, it's at Alanis in King, because in 2009, a man named Alan thought really highly of himself and then never logged on to any of his profiles again. So it's Alanis in King on everything except YouTube. It's Alanis King. I also wrote a book called Racing with Rich Energy, and I do lots of stuff on the internet. So, whoa, right there. If you want to catch me online, that's where I usually am.
Everyone, go give her a follow, please. Do it. If you're not following her, give her a follow.
It's worth it.
Everyone.
Lots of Porsche content if you want to see the cat.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, absolutely wonderful talking to y'all. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you, everybody in the chat. I usually am on like YouTube in the chat, but because I'm on my hotspot, I can't strain it. So I'm usually there typing with y'all. But thank you for being in the chat. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll have to have you back soon.
Yay! Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
You too. Happy holidays.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.
The
The best. Everyone, Racing with Rich
That was
Energy.
awesome.
Get that. Follow her. Everything between. Oh my god.
Really good read.
Such a good read.
Not just saying that because she was on. It's
seriously.
just crazy.
Like,
everything that happens in that book is crazy.
I had
and it's
to
all true.
go back so many times. I was telling Dom this, but there were so many sentences that I would hear, and I'm like, I need to rewind this and hear that again to make sure I'm correct. Like,
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's nuts.
Oh my gosh. So we will quickly discuss some NASCAR news. I mean, there's a lot kind of that came out, kind of not a lot that came out, but we'll breeze by it just for a second. I think the biggest thing to talk about here, Dom, I think you'll agree with me, is Eddie DeHaan left Chase Elliott as a spotter, and he's moving to spot for Josh Berry. And then
no, he's got to talk for him.
Yeah.
You were half right.
Right. You know,
this is big. You know, because he's been with Hendrick Motorsports for a very long time. I think he had a spell with Joe Gibbs, with Kyle Busch. I could be wrong, but you know, I mean, he was with Gordon for a very long time, and then just took in Chase when Gordon retired, and he's been Chase Elliott's spotter from day one in the Cup Series. So this is going to be new territory for Chase. Probably the first time he hasn't had Eddie as his spotter since his Cup races in 2015, when I presume Gordon was still getting Eddie as his spotter, and Chase's part-time races were probably with someone else. So it'll definitely take a minute. I remember, not to go on a tangent, I remember when TJ Majors moved over to Dale Earnhardt Jr. And back in the good old days with Daytona testing, Dale was telling him how he wanted him to spot for him. And that turned into how he became one of the best spotters for Dale Earnhardt Jr. at super speedways, and why Dale was so good in his latter stages of his career at super speedways is because TJ would literally never not be keyed to the mic, just constantly talking and giving him information. So the unfortunate thing is he doesn't have the testing to get acquainted with. So the clash will be a nice little introduction. How you doing?
Yeah.
But you know, that 60 laps in the duel are going to be very, very crucial for Chase Elliott to get acquainted with his spotter. But again, it's not end of the world kind of deal. These guys are all professionals. They all know what they're doing. So, this is a big gain for Josh Berry and Stuart Haas.
Yeah, and to add to that too, I mean, Josh Berry and Eddie DeHaan have had experience together this past season in Cup because when Josh Berry was taking over for Elliott when his injury, they had time to get acquainted, learn about each other, and work together. So this is, though this is a new pairing in terms of a full-time partnership between spotter and driver, it's not new altogether. So I'm excited about it. I think if anything, you want to have a strong team, a strong spotter driver pairing with Stuart Haas right now as they're rebuilding. So I think that pairing with them being new to that organization is great. Phil is right on the nose here. Eddie DeHaan is staying with Justin Allgaier in Xfinity, so they will be back together, which I think is great. So
yeah, that's huge.
We will see that there. Last thing I wanted to talk about real quick. Oh, hold on. Zach actually has a really good comment here. Eddie's style of spotting, I think, is always really fun. He has like very colorful language. He has a very unique dialect and verbiage and whatever, like compared to the other spotters that you hear on the radio.
You would have to actually watch the onboard of Chase going through a crash to know he's actually going through a crash, because Eddie's voice is so calming and quiet, which is what you need in a moment like that, where you don't need frantic go here, go there, go there. It's just, all right, they're spinning in front of you. Just go to the bottom. Just stay low.
Yeah.
Just keep moving. All right, you're all clear.
And you need that
that's
voice.
all you need. So it's like, yeah, and it's almost reassuring in a fact. It's like, okay, we'll get through this. We'll get through it. But no, that's huge for Justin Allgaier too, to keep him. Especially since he'll be with two different organizations that are two different manufacturer plates. That's kind of interesting.
Right. And I don't know if we don't really see that often. So it'll be really interesting. And I think too, having Justin Allgaier stick with, his same team as last year, everyone kind of on board is the same as far as I know. I mean, with the competition now that I think is kind of stacked in the Xfinity series. I mean, Justin Allgaier's, of course, staying. AJ Allmendinger moving back to Xfinity. You got I don't know. It's going to be a really fun year in Xfinity. SVG full-time at Colleague.
I think Colleague's got the road courses on.
Yeah, Colleague should, if they don't win every single
it's gonna be that's gonna make qualifying day really fun to see who can up the other. And then, I mean, it is fate that they're gonna meet up in the race for the lead.
That'll be fun.
And we'll just see. We'll see. Because I mean, I know AJ definitely has the team's intentions in mind, and obviously so does SVG, but he's gonna give him, he will only give him that much. He says, I'll give you an inch. That's it.
Yeah. God, I'm so excited. I think the whole Colleague team in Xfinity next year is so good. Like, it's just, one, I think they're all good guys. Two, they're all competitive. I think I'm excited to see what Josh Williams can do.
The underdog story.
Yeah, the underdog story. And it's always good to see the good guys get a good opportunity, right? So
for sure.
I'm looking forward to that.
He's paid his dues for sure. He's been in Xfinity for a very long time. He's been in NASCAR for a very long time, and ran that 92 car, ran with DGM Racing for a while. And, the best thing about his time at DGM is that they progressively got better. Yeah. And that's what you want.
Big Motor Small Blade, what's going on?
Situation. Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that either. I didn't know if you did. If you could explain, that'd be cool.
I don't know. Reveal your sources.
As we wait for an explanation, because I'd like to elaborate on that. Last piece of news I wanted to talk about, which is really, I think it's fun. We like talking about diecast on here. The best-selling diecast of 2023. The list.
Okay. All right. Hold on.
Yeah.
Can I guess who the winner is?
Okay. Yeah, guess the winner.
It's got to be a Hendrick car. Okay. I'm off to a good start. So, are we talking 164?
We're talking, I believe it's 124 scale.
Jeez. Can't be the Chase Napa. Or is it, oh, maybe it's his Hooters car.
Oh, you're on the wrong track, buddy. It's not a Hendrick car.
Oh, is it Harvick's 29 car?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. See, I wanted to say that at first, but I just felt, Hendrick just does so good in sales and everything. So
here's the kicker. It's Harvick's 29 Busch Light Ford Mustang. Eric Jones, number 43, Guns N' Roses Chevy Camaro, which was a great ride, but that kind of surprises me. It's all the way up there.
It was, Daytona 500.
Kyle Busch, number 8, Lucas Oil Chevrolet.
Yeah, that was the California
That
win.
was good. Ryan Blaney, number
was a good
12,
race.
Menards Dutch Boy Ford Mustang. 5 is Dale Earnhardt, number 3, GM Goodwrench. 6 is NASCAR.
Which one?
Huh?
Which Dale car?
It's the Goodwrench Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Here we go. Specifics. My bad. 1998 Daytona 500. I should have really specified with that.
Oh, pre-orders.
Yeah.
Because that car just came out.
Okay, 6 is the 75th anniversary Chevy Camaro of the NASCAR Diamond Anniversary.
Mhm.
7
Makes sense.
is Shane Van Gisbergen, number 91, his win at Chicago.
It's VG.
Then at number 8 is Chase Elliott's number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevy Camaro. That's down the list.
Great.
Pretty surprising.
I mean,
He was out most of the year. I mean,
yeah, and plus
6 weeks.
his race wins in previous years will probably do really, really good numbers. So considering he didn't win this year, it probably didn't help.
We got at number 9 is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s number 88 Bass Pro Shop Chevy late model.
That car was so sick.
Oh god, it's so good.
So sick. The late model.
It looks so good.
Yeah.
And finally,
Sundrop car's got to be on there.
okay, yeah, I was gonna say the Sundrop is not on here.
Yeah, I'll probably. You know why? It's probably because it's not on a late model body.
Probably. The late models
That
look
made
so
me sick.
good.
They do. They sound good too.
They do. I'm hoping to go to more late model races this coming year. Like I'm wanting to explore, branch out. You know. We need.
You do that.
Hey, Ben. Thanks. I love the support. Ben says we need term limits on most popular driver.
Term limits. Not really how that works.
It's not how that works, but I understand where you're coming from, and
I mean, I agree that
Yeah.
it shouldn't be the same guy every year, but
especially this year, man. Like even Allgaier and Deegan and Xfinity trucks were pretty predictable. That's true. That's fair. Last but not least, sorry, my bad, guys. Number 10, Kevin Harvick. Number 4, Budweiser Ford Mustang for Homestead. That makes sense.
gosh, yeah.
That was a really good one.
That was cool to see.
I should have pre-ordered it, but
I didn't even think they would be able to pull that off.
no, but they did, and we're all thankful for it.
Indeed. Thank you, NASCAR.
Thanks, NASCAR. Stewart Haas.
Even though NASCAR had nothing to do with that, that was all team.
Just like, I'm thankful for the vibe, you know. NASCAR just being like, sure, have fun, go to the races. Goodwrench and everyone like that. Cool. Okay. Yep. I am surprised that the Dale Senior diecast was so high up. The Goodwrench.
Well, it's because it's his Daytona 500 car.
Yeah. I guess it was more like I figured like more of the current cars from this year would have been highest up.
So that's a car that's already readily available. Like I got one this year from 1998.
That's fair.
So they're out there. You just got to look for them.
Oh, all right, guys. Next year.
What's your favorite NASCAR gift you want to get this year?
Me? Oh, we said we were going to talk about this.
We did say we were going to talk about
this. Am I too basic? Well, not basic, I guess, but like I really want a radio.
Oh, like a scanner?
Yeah, like a scanner.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I'm going with more like helpful versus fun this holiday season with my gifts, so that'd be really helpful when I'm at the track. What about you? Oh, you said interesting.
I don't know, honestly. You know, I always talk about how Home Depot was the reason why I got into the sport. I want to get Home Depot gear, Home Depot race gear.
Oh, that'd be
I've seen
sweet.
some cool stuff I've seen some cool stuff online. Just haven't pulled the trigger on anything.
See, I've seen the 12 jackets. That would be sick.
No, I don't want to get a jacket.
Oh, no jacket. Okay.
I've already got the M&M jacket.
That's fair. One is enough.
Yeah, one is plenty. But no, I want to get from Joey's rookie year in 09, the Home Depot hat they had that year because it's got the orange and white flash on the side. It looks good.
Would you get that like
and it was cool
if you can't find it?
Oh no, it's very, very available.
Oh,
It's everywhere. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it.
I was like, I don't know how rare these hats are, but
yeah, no, that one is easily accessible.
yeah, they can do it. Go for it. When you're out of
I've seen crew shirts, like pit
Ooh,
shirts
yeah.
of Home Depot stuff. But I saw one thing I really liked, and it's no longer available on eBay.
Oh.
And I'm hoping that it resurfaces,
Mhm.
and I'll get that.
eBay is a
We'll see.
gold mine. Gold mine. Sometimes.
You got to remember, eBay is a place you have to remind yourself to be patient.
For real. You really do. You really do.
It will likely make its way back onto the scene. Speaking of which, a hat that I've always wanted and still haven't found, because this one's very rare to find, but it's when Harvick wore it at Michigan in 2018 when he was sponsored by Jimmy John's, and it was not a
Oh.
all black like this, but it was like a gray black like mesh kind of,
yeah.
and it said "Freaky Fast" on the front, and I just thought that was so cool.
I think you sent that in the ATYL group chat.
Yes.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. That is a cool hat, you guys.
I want it so bad, and I can't find it.
That one you might have to replicate if you can't find it.
Yeah, that one might be a get into the lab and solve that crisis.
Oh gosh, yeah. There's so many gifts, motorsport related gifts that we could get this holiday. Like, part of me, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, I love this front bumper, but I want another one. Like, I do. Like, they're just so cool. They're so cool. I want another one.
So if you had the choice, what bumper would you want?
Oh.
This is the hat, by the way.
Oh yeah. Do share. Yeah, see, that's cool. That's so cool.
I just think that is just A+ marketing.
It really is.
For a race car driver to have Freaky Fast on their
It's
hat.
genius.
And that's it.
I love it. Let's see the bumper that I
But no,
want.
what nose would you want? Would you want a nose or a rear bumper?
See, I want a nose. I feel like there's just more detail that way. Part of me, and
the old Camry noses are going to becoming available more often now.
I was gonna say, like, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Part of me kind of wants a Toyota nose. Like, I would love. This is probably no longer available, like, at all. But if there was any, like, remains of the first NASCAR race that I watched was 2016 Texas. Funny enough, Kyle Busch won that race. I'm in Xfinity.
Yeah.
And that was the first race that I watched. If there was any parts of that car,
The Xfinity Texas race. We talking the spring?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Kyle won both races that weekend.
He did. Part of me is like, if there's pieces of those cars, like, I'm sure the bumpers, none of that's probably no longer available. But if I can find it, I want part of that. But so I have no specifics on a bumper. I just want something that's either from a race that I saw where the driver won. Like, meaningful. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So.
That's fair. That's where I'm going with my diecast collection.
Yeah.
Now. I'm going for ones that have meaning for me.
Adam knows what's up. If it's a Ryan Blaney front bumper, I will gladly take it. That or Chris Buescher, quite honestly. I would love it.
Roush normally puts their parts out there pretty commonly.
Here's what I saw. The Racing Warehouse.
I've seen a bunch of their stuff on Racing Warehouse.
Yeah. They just said, well, at least I think they posted a picture today, I kid you not, where they had just like a stack of front bumpers. They're like, watch out. And I'm like, oh my God. I could do it.
Oh no.
My wallet's hurting right now, so maybe not.
But
yeah.
I was gonna tell this when we had Alanis on, but it's okay. I figured this is a better time to tell it then. Speaking of Christmas gifts, my dad and I were talking about, my dad got a lottery ticket. He was like, so what are we going to buy with our lottery winnings?
Oh.
And he said, he said, I think if I had to get a Ferrari, it would be LaFerrari. It's a $4 million Ferrari that's out right now.
Oh, God.
One of the most prestigious cars ever. And I always said my favorite was obviously the F12 Berlinetta, but if money wasn't an issue, I would say the Enzo. The Enzo was the predecessor to the LaFerrari, one of the most dynamic cars of all time. So the next day, I'm in the basement, which is where I'm at now, and Dad comes home for lunch, and he comes downstairs, says, I've got good news and bad news. The bad news is we didn't win the lottery. The good news is I got your Enzo. So yeah.
That's incredible. That is a gorgeous car. Oh my gosh.
Taking this home with me.
That's so thoughtful.
Kidding me?
And that's so funny.
So he had this for the longest time on his desk at work. So I always knew he had it.
Yeah.
I was meaning to ask him a couple of times if he still had it, because I didn't know, but yeah, she's mine now.
So are you gonna put it on your desk in the NASCAR office?
Oh,
Or?
absolutely, I am. Yeah, she's gonna join the first car, the Caterpillar car.
Oh, heck yeah.
So, yeah, for sure.
Wow.
And then our good friend Ben got me a
Yes.
Logano Pennzoil car from this year.
Aw.
It's in the case. It's in the case behind me. I move, yeah.
The
It's sitting by itself. Let me see. How do I do this?
Yeah.
That's it
You
right
got
there.
it.
That's
You
her.
can do it.
She's in the case.
Ben's gift from me was a Ryan Blaney of Menard's diecast. It's on the shelf back here. You can't really.
Oh heck yes.
It's
Hell
yeah.
yes.
It was so pretty. Oh my gosh. But yeah. Wow. I feel like to start the new year, we're gonna have to all go through, do like a diecast sharing show again. I mean, we got a lot of guests coming up in the new year, lots of show ideas to do. And yes, at some point during this off season, I am still committed to the idea of a Busch Series show. One episode.
One
I'm
episode.
committed. So we will see if we can do that. But everybody, this has been a wild year for all of us at ATYL, and a lot of the wildness and wonderful wildness.
A lot happened this
A
year.
lot happened, and a lot of good stuff
is-
happened. And you guys were all along for the ride, and I appreciate that a lot. Of course, we still have content rolling through the off season, as you all know, but we will not be live until 2024, which is kind of gross and wild to say. But to keep up with us, though, in the meantime, TobyChristie.com is where NASCAR news is always going to be shown to you during this off season. So you don't miss a thing by going to TobyChristie.com. Also AboveTheYellowLine.com. And that has all of our social media handles and everything on it. So if you can't find it in the description, it's at least there for you on our website. Also, you can get your merchandise there too. One of my favorite hats to wear. Isn't that nice? Ooh, look at that. You can get your own on AboveTheYellowLine.com. So make sure to check that out. And then, of course, when racing comes back, we will have all of our regular episodes, but also all of our interviews that we do on our live streams on for audio podcast platforms. So if you can't watch it back, you don't want to watch it back, you can listen back to it on a long car ride, especially on a long car ride if you guys are headed to Daytona or the Clash. Perfect times to listen, right? So yeah, make sure to keep up with us on all of our social media platforms during the off season. Again, so much news is coming out, but it's been such a good year, you guys. Thank you all so much. Happy holidays, safe travels wherever you're going to this holiday season. And hopefully 2024 is what was that?
I didn't know I could do that.
What?
Look at that. I have magical power.
Wait, how did that? Wait a
I'm a
second.
magician. What can I say? I'm a magician.
I can't do that. Dom has magic powers. We're learning this today, folks. Wow. Well, we love you all. That was wild. We'll see you all in 2024. And yes, by Racing with Rich Energy. Do it. Buy it. Or listen to it.
It's a great book.
Get it from the library.
It's a great book.
Anywho, love you all.